Debt is one of the number one things that causes breakups in marriage, friendships, bankruptcy, and all the other things that come as a result of debt. Because debt is a cruel taskmaster. It doesn't care about anybody. It enslaves. It holds you down, and it is like a boa constrictor, constricting the very air out of your body. We are not equipped enough to carry the debt that we're dealing with. We often say before we buy a product, oh, I can handle that. I know I can make that payment. But in reality, we don't know whether we're making that we can make that payment. It is a risk that we are taking. And yet we keep taking on more debt, more risk. And then we wonder why we're drowning. And then we wonder why we can't pay it off immediately. And I'm talking to myself. Rome was not built in a day. Neither was the debt you created. So it's not going to take 5 or 10 minutes for you to get out of the debt. It's going to take you some time to get out of the debt. So give yourself some grace. At least that's what I've told myself. Kesa, give yourself some grace. Because now we have to address the patterns and the reasons why I'm in the place I'm in now. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are, or good morning, depending on where you are. I am out here doing my Instacart today. I did get started a little bit late today. Y'all, I'm in between transitioning from doing Instacart full-time to going back to work part-time, but also doing Instacart part-time. It'll make sense in a minute, y'all. That was a tongue twister, and don't ask me to say it again. Basically, I've started a new job. My start date is sometime next week, and I will be doing 30 hours a week, which is going to change Instacart from being the full-time way that I basically pay my bills to it being a part of how I pay my bills, and that's going to be part-time too. So I'm going to be doing Instacart part-time, I'm going to be doing my job part-time, and then I'm also going to be doing my business as well. And your business is never part-time. That is always full-time. It doesn't matter if you have a full-time job, part-time job, 2 jobs, it doesn't matter. Your business is always full-time. Now, I want to talk about how I plan on using all of these different resources to get myself out of debt step by step. Because I think one of the misconceptions is that, oh, I get a job and let me just go ahead and pay off these bills, and it's just going to be like that. But when we do that way and we just pay off everything, we don't leave ourselves with cash on demand. Well, what do I mean by that? I mean cash that we need at the time we're going to the grocery store. Maybe we have to buy a pair of shoes. Maybe we have to buy, some type of wardrobe for our new jobs, whatever that looks like, right? Or, you have kids, you got to buy them, clothes or shoes, or maybe you have animals, maybe you have both, or maybe you're taking care of your parent, or maybe you're just taking care of your sibling, or whatever that looks like for you. One of the things that we do wrong is we want to go ahead and pay everything off and be like, oh, I'm done with it. But actually you're not, because let me explain my story a little bit. This is why I'm back in debt now, because I did not use wisdom or discretion, I would say. Now, in theory, it is a good thing to pay off your debts, right? But not all at once. Because what I wind up doing is, because I didn't have any cash on demand, because I put everything towards my credit card bill, or I put everything towards this bill or whatever I was doing, what wind up happening is I had to borrow again from my credit card because I didn't have enough cash on hand. And that is not the way I want to do things this time. So my plan is to put a little bit at a time on the credit card, make sure that I'm paying the minimum balance, also along with that interest rate and an extra payment. So if my minimum payment is $25, I'm going to pay $75. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to just try to pay the whole balance off, And I think that's how I got back into this place, because I was like, okay, well, let me just pay it off. I don't need it. Let me just sit it there. Then I found out that I needed it. I had to wind up buying a washing machine. There was different things that I had to go and do, right? Which is okay, but had I had the cash on demand, I wouldn't have had to go back and just charge on the credit card. And all I'm simply saying is, for me, maybe for you it works out very well for you to do it like that. For me, it does not. What I found about me is this: I do well when I pay everything by cash. And we are led to believe that we have to have credit. That's what we are led to believe. And in some instances, we may have to have credit, but let me tell you, cash is always king. Don't get away from that. Cash is always king. And I'm sorry about my blinker going off in the back, y'all. I am making a left turn. So these are the things that I know that I have to do differently. So instead of me trying to take all of what I make and put all of it in this one category because I just want to pay that bill off because I'm sick of it, I can't do that. That's not what I should be doing. And also, there's this other misconception that when we get our first check, we're going to be able to pay everything. No, we're not. Your first check is not even breaking even. Let's talk about that real clear. That is not breaking even. We think, we getting our first paycheck, we'll be able to pay all of this and catch up with this bill and catch up with that. No. You're not going to be able to catch up in the first bill. And I'm realistically talking to myself and like, girl, the first paycheck, which most likely will just be for a week, I'm only going to be paid for that week. That's not going to mount up to what I need to pay for the bills that I have. So the first check that I have, I need to strategically put money away so that I can have for my gas, so I can continue to do my Instacart. I can pay my phone bill. I can put some money towards, the mortgage. I can do certain things, but I'm not going to be able to pay it off in one setting. So I have to pace myself. Because when I say that I never want to see this cycle of debt in my life again, I mean it. And I know a lot of people are not transparent when it comes to debt. And here's the thing. If you have a $15,000 credit card, $20,000 credit card, you're not going to pay that off within a certain amount of time. You can. I'm not saying that if you don't have a windfall of money, maybe you got a settlement coming in, or maybe you've figured out strategically how to pay it off, or you have that extra amount of resources coming in that you can do it. It's absolutely possible. But for me, I don't want to continue to lie to myself and say, okay, I can pay this off in X amount of time. I have to give myself grace. Listen, it took me months to get into financial debt. It's definitely going to take me months to come out of it. And one resource is not going to help me to come out of it. I have to pull all of my resources together, because I still got to live. I still got to deal with my daily needs, my toiletries, buying food for the house, buying food for my pets, taking care of them, buying my essentials. And praise God, right now, I don't have a car note. And I don't want a car note. So I'm trying to do everything that I can do to keep this car running and make sure it's operating like I need it to operate. Making sure that I'm not piling up more bills, adding more debt while I'm trying to get out of debt. Taking every little bit from the Instacart. Taking some from the business. Not all, but some. Because you need to pay yourself if you're running a business. And so my plan is to do this step by step. And I'm going to give myself some grace. I'm going to pace myself. And here's the thing. I love to say all the time, Rome was not built in a day. It just wasn't built in a day. And I know we want to hurry up and get out of debt. And I know we want to hurry up and, do the things we want to do because we don't like it. Listen, debt is a taskmaster. And it beats on the door hard. And for me, I'm tired of it beating on my door. I don't want it anymore. And also, it's also teaching me, what do I need essentially to live? What do I need? I don't need anything other than what I need. Like right now, I do need a new dryer, right? But it's not in my budget. So I have to continuously use the dryer that I have. That means that I have to dry it, my dryer 2 or 3 times, go in there and try to clean it out as best as I can to make sure there's nothing, in the inside of the vent in the dryer. These are the things that I have to wind up doing, right? There are other things around the house I'm going to have to wind up doing, but all of it's not going to get done because I still have to pay the debt off to get back to where I'm going. And again, I want to be in a place where I'm not using credit like that. I am going to be using credit only when it is absolutely necessary. When is it necessary? Maybe it's necessary when I refi a home, or if I want to take out, a second mortgage, or maybe I want to go into the equity in my home or something like that. That is the only time that credit is necessary for me, not for you all. I'm talking about for me. So I'm going to be on this journey. So my thing is, I'm going to pay one bill at a time. I'm going to use every resource that is in my hand, whether that's, my tax return, if I get one. If I, and that's the other thing, like we wait on our tax returns, and instead of paying some bills off and then putting some money to the side, we go out and spend it. And I've done it. This is not an indictment on anybody. This is just really getting us to really look at the things that we've been doing in our life that really have not been beneficial to us financially. And so right now I'm on an absolute need basis. If I need something for my business, I buy it because I need it. The other day, because I make these pins that I make beaded pins, I needed to go out and get some type of spacer beads that I have. And of course now I've ran out of those, but they're not in stock anymore, so I can't go and buy them. So I have to, go and do something else and kind of use some of the other metals that I have at home. I do have a little bit, it's not a lot, but it's going to have to work until I can get to where I need to go. So, and then also for me to financially plan better, You know, I can't go on the cruises and the trips and all of that. That's not in my budget right now. It doesn't mean that I won't be able to go. It just means right now is not the time for me. And what I will tell you is, don't feel bad if you have relatives that have the money to travel all around the world, or you have friends that can take on these cruises and do all of the things that they're doing, and you have to decline and say no. It's okay for you to decline and say no. They're not paying for it. So I just want to learn how to use practical wisdoms. Tell me some of your paths that you have taken to get out of debt. If you've ever been in debt, if you've ever been overwhelmed by debt, tell me your story inside of the chat. I would like to know. What was it that broke the camel's back? What was the straw? What was the last straw for you that said, okay, I'm done with this. I don't need it that much. It's not that serious for me to go get them boots. It's not that serious for me to buy them luxury items. It's just not that serious. Tell me some of your stories in the chat. Okay, I'm going to continue on my journey today as I'm outside doing my Instacart, but I wanted to come by and talk about what way I plan on doing it. And I'm going to be sharing some more ideas of how I'm going to do it. Maybe talk about how I'm setting how much aside to do this or do that, and then how much am I paying myself, how much am I putting in my savings, all of that. I will probably be sharing that also with you. All right, until the next episode, y'all, I'll see you in a little bit.
Don't worry about me, I'ma be alright.